I hit something that night. I felt the impact. I heard the thud. I jumped out of that truck and ran through the darkness with nothing but a flashlight in my hand, searching every inch of that road, under the chassis, along the shoulder, deep into the brush on both sides. Nothing. No body, no blood, not even a footprint. I climbed back into the cab, convinced myself it was an animal that had fled into the trees, and started driving again. 15 minutes later, I glanced into my rearview mirror. And she was there, a woman dressed in white, standing completely still on my rear bumper, traveling at 60 miles per hour, her hair perfectly undisturbed, her body fixed as if bolted to the steel. My name is Paolo. I'm 42 years old, and for 3 straight years, every single night I drove that stretch of BR 101, she came back, right up until the day I sold that truck and discovered something that shook me to the bone. She never stopped hitchhiking. Before I go any further into what happened on that road, I need to ask you something. If this story is already giving you chills, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear these accounts. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it before this video ends, because what's coming next is going to make the hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. Now, let's get back to the road. I was born in the state of Minas Gerais, in a small town not far from Governador Valadares. My childhood was shaped by the sound of hammers and the smell of concrete dust, because my father was a construction worker, and that's the world I was raised in. I started as a laborer at 14, hauling bricks, mixing mortar, clearing rubble under a blazing sun. Hard, brutal work, but it was what we had. By 18, I'd become a bricklayer. By 25, I was running job sites as a foreman. I married Marcia when I was 27. We had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. A modest life, but an honest one. Then came 2009. I was 35 years old, and I had nothing left to give to construction. The sun had baked me too many times. The dust had filled my lungs for too long. I was coming home so exhausted I couldn't even play with my own children. Something had to change. That's when my brother-in-law, Marcia's brother, started planting a seed in my head. Every time he visited, he walked in with cash in his pockets, stories on his lips, and a look of freedom in his eyes that I had never seen in anyone who worked a 9 to 5. He was a trucker. He told me the road was tough, but it was his. No boss, no clock, just him, the engine, and the open highway ahead. I talked to Marcia. She didn't love the idea at first. Nights away from home, strange roads, unpredictable danger. But we sat down and looked at the numbers, at the school bills piling up, at the clothes the kids were growing out of, at the debts construction income couldn't cover anymore. She understood. We made a plan. For 8 months, we saved every cent. I took odd jobs. She took in sewing work on the side. We cut everything down to the bone. In March of 2010, we bought a 2005 Volvo FH1, white, extended cab, a Ford 20 horsepower engine with air suspension. It cost the equivalent of what most people earn in years of labor. Half was financed over 60 months. That truck wasn't just a vehicle. It was a declaration, my dream, my tool, my freedom. I started slow, short hauls, regional routes, building confidence mile by mile. 3 months in, I landed a contract with a logistics company operating a fixed route, Eunápolis to Teixeira de Freitas, along the southern coast of Bahia. Paper, cellulose, timber, consistent loads, reliable pay, big industrial clients. I accepted without a second thought. The BR 101 on that particular stretch is unlike most highways. It's a long, almost perfectly straight corridor cutting through dense Atlantic forest. More than 60 miles with barely a curve. During the day, there's reasonable traffic. But after 10 o'clock at night, that road transforms entirely. The cars disappear, the silence takes over. The forest closes in from both sides, dark, thick, impenetrable. Very few gas stations, almost no streetlights, just asphalt, shadow, and the occasional sound of wind in the canopy above. I actually liked it that way. There was something meditative about those night runs. I'd put on a Sertanejo CD, pour coffee from my thermos, eat crackers, and let my mind drift, thinking about the kids, the payments, the future. 3 or 4 hours alone on the road felt like a space to breathe. I felt like the master of my own time, the captain of my own course, until the night of September 23rd, 2010. It was a Thursday. I left Unápolis at 10 o'clock at night, loaded with paper, heading to Teixeira de Freitas, 105 kilometers away, estimated arrival around 12:30 a.m. The sky was completely clear. A full moon so bright it lit the road like a lantern. I was cruising at my usual pace, relaxed, thinking about the weekend, about going home and seeing my family. It was just past midnight when it happened. I was on a long, straight stretch, dense forest on both sides, no other vehicles in sight. I glanced at the dashboard, fuel levels normal, engine temperature normal, everything reading fine. I looked back up at the road ahead and saw a figure, standing completely still, in my lane, dressed entirely in white. My heart slammed against my chest. I hit the brakes hard. The ABS engaged, thud-thud-thud tires gripping and releasing in rapid succession, rubber screaming against hot asphalt, the smell of burning rising through the window vents. I gripped the wheel with everything I had, eyes locked on the shape as it rushed toward me, and then impact. It wasn't violent, but it was real. A dull, muffled thud, like striking something soft but solid. The truck stopped, hazard lights activated, engine idling low, my heart hammering, hands soaked through with sweat. I hit someone. I grabbed the flashlight from the glove box, opened the door, and dropped down onto the road with legs that could barely hold me. I swept the beam forward along the asphalt. Nothing. I walked the full length of the truck, crouched down and shone the light under the chassis from one side to the other. Nothing. I walked to the back and swept the road behind me in wide arcs. Maybe a body had been thrown clear. Nothing. I pushed several yards into the undergrowth, calling out, "Is someone there? Do you need help?" The only response was crickets and the rustle of wind through leaves. I stood there on the shoulder of that empty highway, breathing hard, trying to make rational sense of what had just happened. I had seen a figure clearly standing in my path. I had felt the impact, and there was absolutely nothing there. I convinced myself it had been an animal, a deer, a capybara, something that had fled before I could get out. I climbed back into the cab, locked the door, keyed the radio, and put out a call on the trucker channel. Silence. I was completely alone out there. I pulled back onto the highway and drove, slower now, eyes flicking to the mirrors every few seconds. 15 minutes later, I reached up to adjust the right external mirror, and I froze. There was someone standing on my rear bumper. A woman, white dress, long black hair, pale skin, standing perfectly upright on the metal bumper, as if her feet had been welded to it, not holding on to anything, not swaying, not reacting to the wind rushing past her at 60 miles per hour. Her hair wasn't even moving. She was staring straight forward, not at me, just ahead, like she was waiting to arrive somewhere. I pulled my eyes away, blinked hard, looked again. She was still there. I pushed the truck to over 60 miles per hour. She didn't shift, didn't flinch. I slammed the brakes suddenly, dropping to 40. She stayed exactly where she was. The cold that moved through me then wasn't from the air conditioning. It started somewhere deep in my spine and spread outward, the kind of cold that has nothing to do with temperature. I pulled over, got out, walked to the back of the truck with the flashlight. Nothing. No woman, no footprints, no marks on the bumper. The metal was room temperature. not warm from a human body. I stood there in the dark for a long moment, then climbed back in, turned the ignition, and drove on. I arrived in Teixeira de Freitas, more than an hour behind schedule. I didn't explain why. I slept badly that night, woke up 3 times in a sweat. In the days that followed, I told myself it was exhaustion, too many hours, too much loneliness on dark roads. But 2 weeks later, on the same route, she was back. No accident this time, no impact, just me driving at normal speed. And then there she was in the mirror. Same white dress, same black hair, same pale face, same posture on the rear bumper, same direction. Forward, never looking at me. That time, I didn't stop. I drove the entire 105 kilometers with her on the back of my truck. When I reached the lit-up truck stop in Teixeira, I pulled in, and she was gone. Over the following months, a pattern emerged. Number 1, the apparition. She appeared on roughly 1 out of every 2 or 3 runs, always on the same stretch of BR 101, always between midnight and 3 in the morning, always materializing in the rearview mirror without warning, and always vanishing the moment I entered a well-lit area with other people around. Number 2, the escalation. The appearances began to evolve. One night in October, she wasn't on the bumper. She had moved to the rear window of the cab, as though she had climbed up. I turned and looked through the interior glass. Nothing there, but in the mirror, she was pressed against the outside, staring in. Number 3, the children. One November night, she appeared with company. 2 smaller shapes stood beside her, children holding her hands, completely still, just like her. That was the worst night of all. I arrived at my destination shaking so badly I couldn't sign the delivery paperwork properly. Number 4, the cold wait. Every appearance was preceded by the same sensation. The cab temperature would drop sharply, and the air would thicken as if the space itself had compressed. It felt like being sealed inside a box. I began losing sleep. The nightmares started. Number 5, the confirmation. At a truck stop in Unnapolis, I found an old man sitting alone with a coffee. I didn't know why I sat near him. Something pulled me there. When I mentioned the BR 101 and a woman in white, he didn't laugh. He just looked at me with the tired eyes of someone who has carried a heavy thing for a long time. She's not the first. She won't be the last. He told me others had seen her, that she'd been seen for years, that no one knew who she was. Some said she died on that road, hit by a truck. Some said she threw herself into traffic. Others said she was a hitchhiker who fell. Every version was different, but she existed. She had existed, and now she was simply a shadow on a loop, repeating the same journey, night after night. He gave me one piece of advice: don't stop for her. Don't try to speak to her. Just let her ride. She'll leave on her own when she's ready. I tried everything. I rerouted to other destinations, inland routes, different states, and nothing happened. The moment I returned to that stretch of BR 101 after dark, she came back. I started praying before every departure. I adjusted my mirror downward so I wouldn't see her. I played music loud and kept my eyes fixed forward. Nothing helped. In February of 2011, something inside me broke. I'd gone 3 nights without real sleep. I was running a timber load out of Unnapolis when I caught her in the mirror without meaning to, and something in me just snapped. I pulled over, got out, walked to the back of the truck and screamed into the dark, at the trees, at the sky, at whatever was listening. Leave me alone. Why won't you let me go? I didn't do anything to you. Then I sat on the rear bumper, her bumper, and I cried. For the first time in years, I sat on the side of a highway in the dark and cried, from exhaustion, from fear, from 3 years of accumulated dread. When I got home, I told Marcia everything, and I said the words I had been circling for months: I'm selling the truck. It took a few weeks to find a buyer, a young man from Vitoria da Conquista planning to use it for cattle transport. We signed the contract, he paid cash, and I walked away from that Volvo for the last time. I sold my dream to save my mind. I bought an older, cheaper truck, a 1998 Mercedes, and switched to regional routes inside Minas, Espírito Santo, and Rio de Janeiro. Never back to Bahia. Never again. And she never came back. Not once. 3 months later, I ran into the man who bought the Volvo at a truck stop on the BR 381, almost by accident. I asked how the truck was running. He got quiet. His eyes shifted around the parking lot. Then, keeping his voice low, there was something strange. Every time I drove at night, I felt like something was there behind me, in the mirror, a shadow. My wife told me I was losing it. I sold the truck fast. He had sold it to someone in Salvador. I didn't say a word. I just patted him on the shoulder and walked away. Because I already knew. It was never the truck. It was the road, that exact stretch of BR 101 between Eunápolis and Teixeira de Freitas. Whoever drove it at night, she would climb on. She would ride until sunrise, and then she would get off and wait for the next one. Today, 12 years later, I still drive trucks. I make a decent living. My family is stable, but I only drive during daylight hours. And I have never once taken a route that leads back toward Bahia. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Because some souls aren't trying to frighten you. They're just lost, wandering, repeating the last moments of a life that ended too soon, searching for a destination they can never quite reach. And sometimes I wonder, on that September night in 2010, when I felt the impact and found nothing, did I hit her? Did I send her out of the physical world and into that loop, riding the back of trucks in the dark, trying to get home to a place that no longer exists for her? I don't have that answer. But if you're ever driving late at night on the BR 101 through the south coast of Bahia, and you see a woman in white standing still on the shoulder, don't stop. Don't look in the mirror. Just keep driving and let her find her way. If this story reached something deep inside you, give it a like right now. Share it with someone who loves true accounts like this one. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because the next story involves a trucker who picked up a hitchhiker who never said a single word, disappeared before the destination, and left a seatbelt still buckled over an empty seat. You do not want to miss that one.